And he seems much more of a psychological case than a physical case. He's got incredible physicality, super talent in terms of power, his speed, his endurance, his durability.
Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app now. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Of course, the big news is a fight coming up this weekend between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Well, there's some problems with the corner. Looks like Daniel Dubois' cornerman Don Charles is ill and will not be in his corner at Wembley Stadium. Also, there are reports, rumors, however you want to put it, that they are not getting along, that there's some turmoil in the camp right now. Jimmy Smith in studio to help me break it down. The champs, Chris Algieri, Showtime, Sean Porter joining us. I'm going to start with you, Sean. You're the resident psychology expert. What I'm curious about with this one is that steady hand in the corner, right? That guy you can depend on. You know it's going to be there. Your dad was your trainer. In a big fight where there's a big moment, big stakes, that steady hand guiding you, that not being there, is it a huge deal come fight night?
I'm still laughing at you calling it turmoil. Like,
you I love turmoil.
Yeah. I did turmoil, know, but I think that, listen, that's what a team is for. The team is we're always supposed to move on one accord, have the same mindset, understand the game plan, so on and so forth. If someone falls out, you should be able to plug someone in. And especially when we talk about me, someone who had their dad in the corner, as close as I was to my dad always made sure that we had someone who was locked in, understood what my dad was thinking, what my dad wanted to have happen in case anything happened. I mean, we were always ready in case anything, could happen in the corner on fight night or even before that, So I think the number one thing at this point is that Dubois has to lean on his team. The other side of that, though, because I've dealt with this as well, if this is a personal situation, it's crazy, but we push the personal aside and we handle the business when it's time to handle the business. My dad and I, we've had to do that too. Some of the things that people don't know about. But again, you can be as close as my dad and I are. And we were like this at one point before a fight. And I mean, we were like this until fight night. And then we just came together and it happened, And, I think that you always that is a part of the dynamic with good coaching, disciplined fighters. You can always separate the personal from the business, stay on task, and handle the job.
On the tactical side, Chris, could you answer it for me? This is a fight where we talk about the physical gifts of Anthony Joshua. We talk about the boxing skills of Anthony Joshua. You said on our air there might be some adjustments here, right? It's not going to be a first 3-round blowout. They're going to have to make adjustments. How important is that steady hand tactically in that he's got to come back to the corner and maybe get some sound advice? What's your thought on it?
There's two ways to look at this. Tactically, technically, the work has been done. And Dubois, he's not going to get in any better shape in the next couple of days. He's not going to learn anything new in the next couple of days. Whatever they've developed strategy-wise should already be enacted. Should already be in his brain. He should be ready to fire. And like as Sean, you said, other members of the team should be able to step up. At this point, you're a trained machine ready to execute. And so, in terms of tactics, strategy, game plan, conditioning, none of that should really matter on whoever's in the corner. But looking on the flip side of that coin, psychology matters. Having that, as you said, steady hand in the corner, that not necessarily a cheerleader, but someone who's going to boost you up, which Dubois seems like the kind of guy who needs that. And he seems much more of a psychological case than a physical case. He's got incredible physicality, super talent in terms of power, his speed, his endurance, his durability. But seems like there's some issues up top at times. He got labeled a quitter for a number of his losses and a bunch of his fights. He certainly turned a corner recently. And how much of that is ingrained in him and in his heart? And how much does that have to do with the corner getting in his ear and boosting him up and saying, champ, you can do this. You have all the ability. There's been a lot of hype around this man for a long time. He's only recently started to live up to it. So this is the biggest stage of his career. Psychology is going to play a big part here. It all depends on how ingrained that positive psychology and his ability to stem that negative self-talk, because we all do with that, is within himself without having that trainer, having that steady hand or that psychology coach in your corner with you. And then another point, Jimmy, you mentioned that possibly they might have some strife between the teams, between the team members. That makes me think, because Listen, you can have a cold and you don't want to be around your fighter fight week because you may get sick. But on fight night, he ain't getting sick. You can be in that corner. You can still work that corner sick. You can be blowing your nose in between. You can take some meds and get that. So yeah, there might be more to meets the eye, but we're not going to know that until after the fact, or maybe never at all.
Does it concern
Chris,
you? Yeah.
real quick, a funny thing. My dad was sick as a dog one time, and because things were going so well during the fight, my dad was taking his good old time getting in the ring with the stool, and he was moving. So I couldn't say like hurry up because he was sick as a dog, So even on fight night, it can be done.
But he was still there. And that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Showtime, tell me about the timing here, where no matter what problem there is, it can wait until after the fight. It's the biggest fight of your career. I don't like you. You don't like me. To your point, you said, hey, you come together on fight night. The idea that this is a story, remember, it's rumors. We're not quite sure if it's true, but the fact that we're talking about it, what does that tell you when it's the biggest fight of your career and there's maybe some internal strife going on, that it's worse than we're thinking? What's your thought on it?
It could be worse than we're thinking, but I think at this point, the job of the team is to keep Dubois in a bubble so that he doesn't have to hear about the interviews or anybody wanting to talk about what's going on. As long as the team in the bubble knows what's happening, if his coach is going to be there or not, then we'll move forward the way that we need to. But the bottom line for them, you're right. Like, the timing of this is terrible. How do you cultivate that time, for the sake of words? You put yourself in the bubble and you allow yourself to move on your time and no one else's time. And when that bell rings for that fight, then you open up that bubble and you go get it.
Chris, what's your thought when it comes to cornering? As you said, the work's been done. He's a machine, Is quartering, in a sense, overrated? Do we only notice when it's abysmally bad, Tyson Douglas? Beyond that, is it one of those things that everybody needs all the time, or is it overrated in our minds? Very curious about that.
No, I mean, it matters. It matters. And it matters. But usually it's like Sean said, when your dad was sick and he was coming in slow because everything was going good. Corners are important when everything's going bad. That's when a good corner really shows itself. When I came back to the corner between rounds 1 and 2 in the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, with my eyes shut after half a round and my eyes broken, my nose is gushing blood, my coach said something to me that was so poignant, so smart, and put me right in the right headspace that I need to be. He goes, you still got your lead eye, because it was my right eye, my rear-handed side. So I could still protect him. I could still see the right hands coming. He said, you got your lead eye. You can still see the punches coming. We're fine. Just protect the eye, back to work, back to what we're doing. That stemmed every issue I had when I came back to that corner. All the negative self-talk in my mind about, I can't believe I just got dropped. I can't believe I had to take a knee. I can't believe my face is broken. What am I going to do? He goes, don't worry, baby. We're good. You still got your lead eye. And that was exactly what I needed to hear. And I went on there and did what I was supposed to do. So yeah, when your coach pulls things out of the fire, that's when you see how good they really are. When things are going bad, and when things are going good, you don't really hear about the good stuff. Then sometimes you see some of the bad stuff. But yeah, no, coach is there to pull things out of the fire when things aren't going right.
Well, we are hoping this weekend we get an extraordinary fight. Doesn't matter who's in the corner, but it's the fighters themselves. Thank you so much, champs. And, of course, after this weekend, join us here, ProBox TV, post-fight. We'll have, of course, the big fight breakdown. Right now, download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind on your boxing news. More to come this weekend.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 9th. Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.